15 very interesting years and a very nice and efficient team at the embassy. It's really been nice years. So during these years, I've had the pleasure to introduce quite a few politicians, businessmen, and other interesting persons from the UK to Gothenburg, and I really enjoy that, all the meetings and whatever I've learned during these years. You all know that on Friday 2 weeks ago we celebrated 400 years, and our ambassador Judith Goff was one of the guests of honor, together with the German and the Dutch ambassadors. I think you know that the British and Scots funded the city together with the Germans and the Dutch. Maybe they were not so friendly all the time, but they did a great job funding the city. A lot of business has been made since then, and we hope for more in the future. We also celebrated a special person that day, and it was Admiral Lord James de Saumarez. During the continental blockade 1808 to 1812, he moored with his flagship Victory that you heard about from Trafalgar, and he had 100 ships that and they had orders from the British government to bomb Gothenburg. Many people don't know about this, but we were in war with England. But it's interesting to note that thanks to all the politicians and businessmen in Gothenburg at that time, they had a very friendly solution to this blockade, and there was no bombing, and Gothenburg survived. And if you want to read more about this and see the plaque that was fitted to the Börsen just outside the main entrance to the Börsen, you are welcome to do that. Just to mention a few other people that I'm sure you know about, British, like Colin Campbell, and the East India Company is a very important person. Frederick Endicott Chapman, the naval architect. You heard about Carnegie, Hull, Chalmers, and many other names that are very important persons from Britain that have been very good for Gothenburg and the city. So with these words, I look forward very much to this webinar and to take part in it, and I hope you will find it interesting, and maybe, hopefully, we will start new relations. Thank you.
Thank you, Lars, for those introductory words. I'm going to pass along now to our next presenter, Per Abrahamsson from Business Region Gothenburg. I won't give any further ado. Take it away, Per.
Thank you very much, and many thanks to the British Embassy for hosting this event and this opportunity for us to talk more about the coming plans within construction and urban development in the Gothenburg region. My name is Per Abrahamsson, and I work for Business Region Gothenburg as a business advisor, helping international construction companies to get a better knowledge regarding the local business environment and upcoming projects within the region. And our main goal is, of course, that this hopefully will lead to new establishment of international companies in the future. We can go to the next slide, please. And we can take the next one. Thank you. So Business Region Gothenburg. Oh, we can go back. There. How can we help your company? Business Region Gothenburg is a non-profit organization which is fully owned by the city of Gothenburg. And we represent totally 13 municipalities within the region. And we offer services to all companies that are interested to invest, establish, or innovate in our region in many ways. And our service includes, for example, market overviews, connection to local advisors and networks, land and property search, partner search, and we can also help to attract talents and expat-related issues if you're established here in the region. And of course, we have a clear vision regarding sustainable development in all our activities that we perform, and we want to contribute that Gothenburg grows in the most sustainable way that's possible. Next slide, please. Just to give you a brief overview and present a couple of numbers of the city and the labor market, there are approximately 140,000 company establishments in the region. 600,000 people are employed, and we have a population over 1 million people. And the companies in the region export goods for around 25 billion euros. And also worth mentioning is the largest port in Scandinavia is located here. And around 30% of Sweden's foreign trade passes through the Port of Gothenburg, as does 60% of the country's container traffic. And the Port of Gothenburg will talk more about this later in this event. The private sector invests around 4 billion euros in research and development. As said before, that Gothenburg is a real international innovative hub. And Gothenburg also have nationally the largest share of these investments, even if we compare us to the capital city of Stockholm. We are very proud of this, of course. It is a clear acknowledgement that we are a very innovative hub in Scandinavia through many different areas. So if we go to the next slide, I want to highlight some of the most important sectors within the city. And these are also examples of the companies that are investing in research and development. For example, information and communication technology, or ICT. The Gothenburg region is an important hub with strong expertise in different fields, including artificial intelligence, connectivity and mobility, cyber and information security, as well as world-leading clusters in mobile data transfer and software development. One other important sector is life science, which is one of Gothenburg's fastest growing industries right now, when we have major investments taking place. The region is, for example, home to Scandinavia's largest university hospital, and one of AstraZeneca's 3 globally strategic R&D centers is located here. So clearly there are strong British connections here already. And of course, worth mentioning is the automotive industry. You cannot talk about companies in Gothenburg without mentioning Volvo. But with around 30,000 direct employees, Gothenburg's automotive industry is one of the world's most knowledge-intensive industries when it comes to vehicle development. And this is mainly driven by Volvo and Geely. Next slide, please. And right now, as mentioned before, Gothenburg is on a new path towards becoming a truly sustainable and interconnected city. The city is bustling with development projects, many of which are in ideal city location within the heart of the city. I will show this later on in the presentation. And with a focus on sustainable development, Gothenburg is expanding and the city is really densifying. And an estimated 100 billion euros will be invested in property development and infrastructure until 2035. And this is to create new homes, new offices, and new infrastructure, for example. And of course, the opportunities for investors and actors in urban development and construction are tremendous, of course. Next slide, please. And one of the biggest projects that are contributing to this is the River City project, where mainly former shipyard areas in the heart of Gothenburg will be giving a revival and new city areas will emerge. You can click. With 5 million square meters being developed, including 25,000 apartments and workplaces for 45,000 people, is the largest urban development project in Scandinavia. And for you that are not familiar with Gothenburg, the city center and the central business district is located here in the middle of the map around the central station area. And you can clearly see, if you look at a map, how the city center will expand over the river. And to show you this transformation a little more, we can continue to the next slide. This map shows new buildings that will emerge until 2035. And you see the city center in the middle, surrounded by the moat. Red buildings in this map are and constructions are coming up this year and the coming year. Orange buildings in construction in approximately 7 years' time, and yellow construction in approximately 15 years' time. And as I mentioned, aside from building for residential purposes and office buildings, the city is also investing heavily in infrastructure projects and public transportation. And this is to be real sustainable and meet the demands of tomorrow. For example, a new tunnel under the river called Göta River or Göta Älv, the Marieholm Tunnel, opened in December 2020. And the new bridge in the city center, Hisingen Bridge, opened a few weeks ago in May. And as mentioned before here, this is the year where Gothenburg celebrates 400 years as a city. So this is a clear event on this year. And in the coming years, Gothenburg will have a new rail tunnel under the central city called the West Link, which you can see as a thin orange line making a curve over the map. And this opens for traffic during 2026. And with all this taking place, as you can see in the map, Gothenburg is in need of investors, general contractors, construction workers, new engineering skills, new construction techniques, and many different fields within construction. And to give you a few examples of coming projects, we can go to the next slide. I will just highlight a few. We have Karlatornet, and this will be Gothenburg's first real skyscraper. We have tall buildings, but this will be a real skyscraper. With its 245 meters, it will, when it's finished, be the tallest building in Scandinavia. And this will be constructed by the construction company Serneke. And the location on Lindholmen, which is the hotspot for IT and automotive research, the silhouette of this building will be visible both from the river and from the city center. And it's including 73 floors, houses, 600 apartments, hotel, offices, and much more. Can go to the next slide, please. Then the central station area. When the new railway underneath the city center, as we saw on the previous slide, opens together with a new fast-track railway to Borås, it creates new opportunity, especially around the central station, but it's located really in the heart of the city. Here we have multiple developers that are connected to create a new part of Gothenburg that will have the same density as perhaps central London. Multiple buildings, as you can see in the picture in the back there, will be built starting the coming years, and construction stretches all the way until at least 2032. Next slide, please. Gothenburg also are in need of replacing the large indoor arena Scandinavium that was built in 1971, and today mainly hosting games in ice hockey, Gothenburg Horse Show, and concerts. And the goal for the city is to build a new large multi-arena together with some smaller arenas. And according to the newest proposal, these arenas will be located south of Valhallagatan in connection with the Swedish Exhibition Center. So this area is really interesting area within the city. And the previous location for this arena, Scandinavium, will be replaced with new buildings with mixed use, creating a whole new block, as you can see in the left part of the pictures. So these were some examples of projects, and to give you an overview of the coming years, I want you to show you the next slide. We are right now in the dark blue bubble, where Gothenburg strengthening its core, as I said before, and increasing the density with many new buildings within the city center. The next step is to create an efficient infrastructure, for example, through a new railway to the east with more connection to the airport, Landvetter, and the city of Borås. And then all the way up to Stockholm. We will hear more about this project later on in this event. And in the longer term, the goal is to connect Gothenburg also closer to Oslo in the north to create a great European metropolitan region in 20 to 30 years time. So, and of course, if you click in the picture here, this means that when we build this, we will expand the labor region and we will really be a true metropolitan region the coming years. The next slide is the last one. Many of the things I've talked about, you can find more information at our website if you go to Invest in Gothenburg. And if you go to the next slide, I have my contact information, so do not hesitate to contact me directly if you have any questions, and I will also stay here in this event for the Q&A session later in the program if there are any questions. So thank you very much for your attention, and I will pass on to the next presenter.
Yes, thank you very much, Per. Very interesting. Giving us a very good overview there of what's going on and what's coming up. Now we're going to zoom in on one thing in particular, which is Gothenburg Port, which is planning some considerable expansion over the coming years. And Arvid Guthed, who's the Vice President of Port Development, is going to take us through that. I'll pass over to you, Arvid. Thank you, Arvid. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Alan. Yes, my name is Arvid Guthed. I work at the Port of Gothenburg with responsibility for development. We're actually 1 year older than the city. We were founded in 1620, so we're 401 years old, and we are the dominant goods hub in Northern Europe, I would say. And I will give you a quite specific insight in our development plans for the next coming 10 years. I will apologize on forehand for text being written in Swedish, but I will do my best to make a translation for you as I go through the slides. So without further ado, we'll take the first slide. These images are quite detailed, but what we're looking at, our largest project this year is a landfill in the area to the left of the center. It says Arendal 2. It's a landfill, previously water. It will, thank you, Alan, that will create another 11 hectares of port terminal area. And that's a continuing project that will be finalized around 2025. We'll get back to that. If we look to the north, we have an area. Would you like to highlight that, Alan? Halvorslänk area. This up, yes. This is an area that we will develop a logistic center, and I will get more into detail as we move along. So if we move into next slide, 2022. You can see that the logistic area will start to materialize in the sense that we are getting to erect buildings. All the land work is already has been done. We are continuing with the development of the port terminals in the Arendal 2 area. Thank you. And as we're doing that, we will also widen the inlet to that terminal, so that will be work in the water areas. We will, in 2022, if everything goes according to plans, we will start the construction for the deepening of a fairway into the container terminal. Would you please highlight that, Alan? It says in Swedish, byggnation kajläge väster. Yes, thank you. So we are starting to reinforce the quays in order to prepare for a deepening of the fairway that will materialize in the next slides. So we take the next slide. So in 2023, this might be quite an optimistic time frame. It might be 2024, 2025, but there will be a deepening of the fairway into the container terminal. Don't focus too much on the years, but focus on the action. And this is a quite large-scale operation, both for us and the state, being represented by the Swedish Maritime Administration and Trafikverket, that will talk to you after my presentation, if I'm correct. So what we have here is a focus on 3 major investments plans for the port. We have the logistic areas being developed in the north in this image. We have the deepening of the fairway in the south, and to the southwest, we have the development of new terminal areas. And I should mention, as we're at this image, that what you saw previously was the development of the city center. The port, as you might gather from now, previously used to be in the city center. Over the 400 of years of its existence, we have moved to the west, so we are now located outside of the city center, and this is our home for the future, and this is where we are investing heavily. So if I take the next slide and move on to 2024, this is basically a continuation of the 3 large investments that I was talking about: the fairway deepening, the development of new terminal areas, and the development of logistics areas. Apart from that, we are making smaller investments in order to make our areas more efficient. So there are large-scale investments paired with smaller investments over the years as well. Though the smaller ones are related to having more efficient road and rail infrastructure to and from the port, and making the existing terminal areas more efficient in the way we use them. So if we move ahead to 2025, we will see we are getting to the end of the development of the logistic areas in the north. The new terminal areas are really starting to be finalized, and the same goes for the deepening of the fairway. That's a 4 to 5 year project to have that finalized. So we can take 2026, and we are now starting to see the future port, if I might say that. The fairway unfortunately costs a lot of money, but we will not see the finalized result. It will just be a deeper fairway, but that will fill a very important function for us as a port to be able to continue to receive the largest container ports in the world fleet. And at the same time here, we are finalizing the new terminal areas to the west of the port, and that is our plan to accommodate the shifting of terminals in the city center to the outer ports, as illustrated here. If we move on to 2027, yes, you'll see a fairly grey postcard image of the new port, if I might call it that. The port, as I said, is 401 years old, but we have continuously been active in developing it in order to meet market trends and market demands. So I think my next slide will be the last slide. It's 2030. Yes, I took a step from 2027 to 2030, but there are some minor development plans in the future. But basically, we have quite a large investment program for a port of our scale. for the next coming years. We're talking about some 600 million euros that are being spent in some really large investment projects and also smaller projects, of course. So I will stick around for the panel discussion later on. So if there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer them then. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your updates on the Port of Gothenburg development, Arvid. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce Sarah Dissner and Jessica Dosenius from the Swedish Transport Administration. Sarah and Jessica are in charge of the Gothenburg-Borås high-speed railway project as program management manager and procurement manager, respectively. Sarah, Jessica, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Monica. Sarah, do you have your microphone on?
No, I think you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry.
Perfect.
As Monica said, my name is Sarah Dissner, and I am the program director at the Gothenburg-Borås program. And in the management team for the new main line, I'm also responsible for questions related to business. So that's why I'm here. And you, Jessica?
Yeah, my name is Jessica Dosenius. I am the procurement manager for the Gothenburg-Borås program, and I have been since early 2020. And I've been at Trafikverket since 2013, procuring mainly within the railway sector. And I'm very glad to be here today to speak about our project with you today.
Yes, you can take the next two pictures, I think. Picture of us. You can take the next one. There are, of course, if you take, I think there are some text sliding in from the side here. So if you, and one more, yeah, stop there. There are, of course, a number of good reasons to build a new railway, and maybe these are the most important ones. Gothenburg-Borås is the two largest city in the west of Sweden. And today, 80% of those who commute by public transport between Gothenburg and Borås choose the bus instead of the train. And we also have a large number of people who commute by car. Approximately 1,400 buses traffic this stretch every day, and the railway isn't a competitive alternative to the road, mostly due to the traveling time. And today the railway doesn't reach the Gothenburg-Landvetter airport, which is the second largest airport in Sweden. So as I said there are of course a number of good reasons to build a new railway, but if you take the next picture, these are the four most important ones. We will be a link of a new high-speed network between Stockholm and Gothenburg, but there are also good reasons from a more regional point of view. We will create shorter traveling times, faster journeys, and increase the train services. We're talking about approximately 35 minutes from Gothenburg to Borås, or from Borås to Gothenburg. Today it takes approximately 1 hour with the bus or with the train. It will take approximately 15 minutes from Gothenburg or from Borås to reach Landvetter Airport. It will create opportunities for regional growth, sustainable travels, and as I said, we will improve the communication to Landvetter Airport. Today you reach Landvetter Airport with buses or with car, so we increase that one much better. We can take the next picture. Here is also some, there you can stop. Some short facts about this project. Gothenburg-Borås and the East Link project, which is our friends at the East Coast, are both ballasted tracks with speed up to 250 kilometers per hour. The other project that we are working with today within Trafikverket is Hässleholm-Lund in the south of Sweden, and for that part they will construct the railway with slab track and with speed up to 320 kilometers per hour. The new track will be used for high-speed trains going from Gothenburg to Stockholm, but also fast regional trains between, for example, Gothenburg and Borås. But there will be no freight trains on this new railway. You can take the next picture. So where are we today? We are in a phase called the localization study, and it's the first step of the planning process. And the localization study, it defines a corridor within an investigation area or an evaluation area between, for us, Gothenburg and Borås. Within this area, we identify several corridors and compare them between each other in different points of view, economical, environmental impact, sustainability, and several other criteria. And in the end, this will decide within which corridor Trafikverket will recommend, because in the end it's actually the government who decide the corridor. Trafikverket recommend and the government decide. So you can take the next picture. There will be a map, I think. If we take, yeah, there you can see. Here you can see this investigation area, the dotted line. Within, we have identified several corridors, but the corridor you can see on this map is actually the corridor that Trafikverket now suggests that the railway will be placed. So this is where we are today. To understand this, the challenges of this project, we can take the next picture. Quite a lot of them are related to the landscape. We are talking about a quite, for Swedish point of view, a quite hilly landscape. If we compare to Hässleholm-Lund in the south of Sweden, it's a quite flat landscape, but here in Gothenburg-Borås we have this hilly landscape, which means we will have several tunnels, several bridges, and handling quite a lot of mass, stone and soil, etc. We can take the next picture. Here we have a more summary of the challenges. As I said, the landscape within this stretch is hilly and curvy, so that affects quite a lot of what we do and how we plan this project. The project has been deemed to have what we in Sweden call considerable environmental impact, a difficult word to say. This means that challenges connected to the environmental, we talk about urban areas, housing, etc. within this stretch. We will build during the construction section of area where we have existing traffic, and this will be one challenge for us, to disturb the existing traffic at little as possible, both rails and road traffic. Of course, stakeholders, the new stretch of the railway will run through, I think, 5 different municipalities. We have people living in the stretch, and we have, as I said, Landvetter Airport. We will build 3 travel centers in Mölndal, at the airport, and in Borås, and they are, as always, a challenge to build within cities. As you can see at the end of this list, a challenge is to find the optimal packing of contracts. We have different stages, and the projects need to think how shall we package this contract to have the best offers from consultant or construction company. We're talking about size, content, and different technical challenges, etc. It is a new standard. This is together with the Eastlink project and Hässleholm-Lund project, the first project with a standard for high-speed rail in Sweden. So that will also be a challenge for us. And as I said, it is a hilly stretch, so mass handling will be a challenge for us. And last but not least, this project will be running along a period of time where we have quite a lot of other large projects during the same time, and it will be quite a challenge to find skilled and qualified experienced resource, both on our side at Trafikverket, but also at our contractors and the consultant companies, etc. We can take the next slide. Also here you can see some, yeah, there you can see. As repeating myself here, but it is a hilly area, and we know that there will be many tunnels, many bridges. These figures are based on this early phase of the project, so no decisions has been made exactly where the track will be located. So see these figures in a relation to the early stages, but it gives quite a good hint, I think, what it actually is we will be doing here at this project. We can take the next picture. Here you can see the next phase. As I said, we have now communicated what corridor Trafikverket think is the best corridor to place the new railway. And when the corridor has been chosen, as we write here, the next phase is to procure procurement and the railway plan. And I think that Jessica will take over here and tell us a little bit more about the procurement that are coming up by the end of this year and next year.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. We can switch, Alan, to the next slide. Yeah, so as Sarah mentioned, we have an ongoing localization study, but we're also preparing for the next phase of the project, which is the railway plan phase, where the placement of the railway will be defined within the corridor chosen and decided by the government. And Sarah also mentioned that we're looking at packaging of our contracts, both on the consultancy side, but on the construction side as well. And if we look to the railway plan phase that we are now going to be entering into, it's very important to find the best packaging. And what we see today is that we will put together in one package the railway plan together with the environmental impact assessment and the preliminary design. And if you switch to the next slide, please, Alan. This
okay,
I can see that this.
I'm on now, so I'll have a look.
This image, it should say 4 contracts. We've actually just decided that we will have 4 railway plans that we will be procuring in this package that I mentioned. And if we look to the construction phase, we are at the moment looking at the construction phase and how many construction contracts we will have and what types of contracts, but we have not decided this yet. But if we look historically, Trafikverket has mainly used the majority of design and build contracts, and some instances performance or build contracts as well. ECI contracts have also been have occurred as well. but mainly design and build, as I mentioned. And as soon as we have decided this and have more information, we will be publicizing this on our website, for example, and also making more information available for you as supplier market. Next slide, please. So if we look at these 4 contracts, railway plans, and these packages that we are going to be procuring, this first slide correlates to the first package that has been published. We have a negotiated procedure in 2 phases, where the first phase is a pre-qualification stage. And the last day to submit the answers in this procurement was actually on Monday. So this pre-qualification has begun, and we're hoping to award a contract somewhere in January of next year. So this procurement is not really possible for you to participate in, but I just wanted to inform you that this is the first one for Almedal-Mölndal in the western part of the stretch, Gothenburg-Borås, that we have started to procure. We can take the next slide. So the second package, which could be interesting for you, is the next part of the stretch, which will be from Mölndal to Landvetter, encompassing the station at Landvetter Airport. And this is going to be the same setup as the first procurement, a negotiated procedure in 2 phases. We will be publicizing the pre-qualification stage in the beginning of August in our new procurement system, Commerce. And we'll have a last day of submit proposal in the mid of September. So this one is definitely open for you to participate in. And if you take the next 2 slides, we can start with the next one. Is the third package, and this is if you look to the east of the stretch, Gothenburg-Borås, Viared-Borås, this is going to be the third package. And this business setup has not yet been decided by internally in Trafikverket, but our objective is to procure this in a similar way as to the packages 1 and 2. And this is where we will publicize. The plan is to publicize in January of 2022 and have a contract somewhere in early fall of 2022. And if we take the next slide, package 4, this is what we call Landvetter-Viared, which is the long stretch in the middle of this stretch, which is more of a landscape stretch, not so many city centers that we will be passing. And this is also a similar setup for the other 3. And May of 2022 to publicize the stage 1, and then hopefully have contracts somewhere early 2023 for the last package. So 4 packages in total. And the first one is ongoing at the moment. Next slide, please. So here you can see the website, Trafikverket's website, where you can find our procurement plan. And this is updated every 30 days. We will find the actual information about planned procurements, but also current procurements that are ongoing right now. So I recommend you to very regularly go in here and keep yourself updated on the upcoming procurements in Gothenburg-Borås, but also on our sister projects, Hässleholm-Lund and the East Link as well. Next slide, please. So here we have an overall time schedule. As Sarah mentioned, we have our ongoing localization study, which is planned to be finalized somewhere during 2022. During the fall here, 2020, we held early dialogues with the supplier market, both consultancy firms and contractors, where we discussed various questions pertaining to the upcoming phases of the project. It was very, very interesting, and there you can find information from those dialogues on our website as well, publicized in English as well. And we're right now in the process of procuring, like I mentioned, these railway plans will be carrying on to 2023. And then, of course, work will start in these contracts to produce and determine these railway plans, etc. Up to 2020, actually up to 2025, maybe up to 2027 in certain instances. When it comes to the government's approval process, it's difficult to say how long it will take. So difficult to give you a hint of that at the moment. But we're hopeful that the process will run smoothly. And then, of course, we have the construction phase that we need to prepare for. And as I mentioned, we are looking at the amount of construction contracts and how they will look and where we will have interfaces, etc. And of course, we will have more dialogues pertaining to that phase of the project as well. So keep an eye on our website for invitation and more information as we go forward. And then, of course, start a construction somewhere 25 to 27 is our main goal. We can switch slides, please. So contact information regarding Swedish partners. You heard Per earlier today from Business Region Gothenburg, who will very much like to aid you in getting in contact with Swedish partners. We also have the CMB, Center for the Management of Built Environment, part of the Chalmers University of Technology, where there are also a lot of Swedish suppliers and other actors, members of the center, and you can contact Bengt Christensson there as well, who can help you with coming into contact with Swedish partners here in the western part of Sweden. Next slide, please. So here you have some contact info for us at Gothenburg Borås. My contact info as a procurement manager, and also Maria Hermansson, which at the moment is our design manager. But you can also find our website and other social media addresses as well. Next slide, please. Well, I think there were some slides missing here, I believe. I had some slides about how to become a supplier to Trafikverket as well. They seem to have disappeared from this presentation, but we will be discussing that also in the panel discussion. But there are some good links to trafikverket.se where you can find more information about how to become a supplier to Trafikverket. And I think the main tip that we can give is to have a sort of a Swedish representation, have a contact with a Swedish partner, and also maybe start a bit smaller if you're totally new to Trafikverket and our businesses, and then scale up afterwards, and then be able to be awarded larger contracts. The information that we have on our website pertains to useful information about our procurement plan that I mentioned, also how to submit tender to us, what to think about, important formal things that you need to think about in order to submit to us, also about our TransQ pre-qualification system that is operated by Achilles. Many of our procurements in the railway sector, we do procure over the threshold and via our TransQ pre-qualification system. But in Gothenburg Borås now, when it comes to railway plan, we have decided not to use that system due to also information from the supply market that they would like to know if they are going to be able to submit tender in the second stage. And therefore, that is one of the reasons why we are not using TransQ in these contracts, but we probably will be using them in our contract construction phase going forward. So more information you can be found on our website about that as well. And then we have our international strategic partner, Camilla Ashton, from our purchase and logistics area here in Trafikverket that you probably have been in contact with before. She is also available for more questions. And we also have a possibility for you to do a test run to submit tenders to us as well and get feedback from representatives from our side to see if you have mastered the skill of submitting tender to us and give you useful tips, etc. So that was pretty much what my slides contain. I'm sorry, I will be updating this presentation, so you will get those slides as well after this webinar. So thank you. Thank you from me and Sarah so far.
Thank you very much for your insights, Sarah and Jessica. We will now move on to the last but not least speaker of the day, Jannica Wiklander, the CEO of Okidoki Arkitekter. Jannica is an architect and lighting designer. Jannica, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for having me and inviting me today to speak on the topic of the context of Gothenburg. And you can now lean backwards and for 10 minutes sort of go through the context of the region where you will probably most definitely invest and work in the future. So starting with me, my name is Jannica Wiklander and I am the CEO of a company called Okidoki Architects. We are architects, we innovate and design, but we also invest and build and develop in joint venture together with international and national actors on the market. Our vision is to design a better and brighter tomorrow. Let's see, and also our mission is to drive transition and redefine context in order to secure the quality of human-centered design, since human-centered design, of course, is the consumer of whatever service or product all of us work to live and produce. And of course, that is also in order to secure the value that gives you the value in between the value and the cost and the margin. We are at times referred to as a non-stop shop, where you can actually look at us as a full service design. We often work in clusters together with different kind of actors, since we are a smaller kind of firm with about 50 employees. Our end user is, of course, the most important part in whatever we do, the client and the client's client. That is what will keep all of our business running. And we also try to position ourselves as architects and think about how to take a stand for and work together with the market and the city, being the local base in Gothenburg, knowing the city and the region. Our mission is to, whatever project we do, to make the project always stand out. That was a bit about me and the company, and now the Gothenburg context. For us Gothenburgers, sustainability is very much about a vibrant and amiable city. If the people of Gothenburg are like to live in Gothenburg, you guys or whomever you produce for, the commuter, the tourists, or the Gothenburger most definitely will. With its 152 rainy days, Gothenburg strives to turn rain into an attraction, an artistic outlet, and this has thrived into the project Rain Gothenburg, which of course is 6 months of whatever year you spend in Gothenburg. I also apologize for the headlines from The Guardian being in Swedish, but The Guardian has also made an article about the 10 coolest places in Europe, where they place Långgatorna in the center of Gothenburg as to be the coolest area in Europe in terms of development. Also, CNN Travel Guide defines Gothenburg in Sweden as the greenest city on earth, and how you can actually tourist in Gothenburg in order to take this in. Hospitality is, of course, as you understand, a great part of Gothenburg. Also, our music scene that is world-renowned with the Way Out West music industry. Also, the film industry, perhaps most known as Chollywood, with the Lars von Trier movies, and also the gaming industry is a substantial part of both the culture of Gothenburg and of Sweden, but also of Sweden's GDP of export. So no wonder at times we call ourselves Little London. But let's go back to how all of this is about. So the backside of living in a large construction site city. At times your wire goes down. Am I back in audio now?
Yes, you are, Jannica.
Thank you very much. So it all started with this teen heir of the Swedish throne, somewhat 400 years ago, perhaps 401, we heard earlier. Gustav II of Sweden, he decided to build what today is known as the old town of Gothenburg. And what he managed to do was, after the no less than 4 pre-trials, where actually the Danes burnt down whatever we decided to try and build in order to own the port. His negotiation skills got him the best of the best in how to build Sola, which is actually Dutch. Their version of the old Gothenburg still stands today, and you can in this picture see the significant moat that surrounds the old center of Gothenburg, and that is still a very nice quality and very well used today. This is the logo of the West East Indian Trading Company, the teen heir's own version of the Honorable East Indian Trading Company, where he sort of made his own little tax deal with goods in order to increase the value of whatever trade Sweden was in the internal global market. But fast forwarding the context, modern times and industrialization built not only Gothenburg, but also the wealth of an entire nation of Sweden. The automobile Volvo, companies as SKF, and later on, of course, also the music export ABBA, put Sweden on the map as an internal actor, even though Sweden is quite a small country. As an architect, I'm sorry, it's lagging again. Let's see if I can now continue. Terribly sorry about my connection being poor.
We will continue with the panel of the day, and Jannica is going to join that quickly. I'm going to ask all panelists to turn on their cameras and microphones, and I'm going to kick off with the questions of the day. I also encourage the attendees to write questions in the chat if you would like to address something to one of the panelists. So the first question of the day. what is Gothenburg's region competition advantage and what makes the west of Sweden attractive for foreign investment? Perhaps Per, you could answer to this question.
Yes, as I've shown in my presentation, there's a lot of things going on and the city is transforming right now in many ways. And as we saw in the presentation later on, I'm stunned by the large scale of the projects and there's so much going on right now. And this together with all the research and development that are taking place right now in Gothenburg, that we actually passed Stockholm in the share of these investments, shows that we have all these hubs for innovation that are really creating a move forward for the whole city. So both these areas together makes Gothenburg a perfect place to invest and establish, I would say.
Thank you very much, Per. Lars, what are your thoughts on this, as you've been very much involved into the business environment in Gothenburg? What would you consider that are Gothenburg's advantages as a city, but also as a region?
Yes, I've been in the business for many years, and what is good with Gothenburg? It's the good connection to the world, of course on the west coast, which is closer to many parts of the world, and of course with our well-established old industries like Volvo and SKF and of course AstraZeneca and many others. I think that has a good attraction to new companies coming here, and a good workforce. We are a labor city, as we used to say in the old days, and so for industries and for good labor, and it's an advantage with Gothenburg, I would say.
Thank you very much, Lars. Now, we have at least 2 big infrastructure projects currently being conducted in Gothenburg, the port expansion and the high-speed railway project. What are the sustainability considerations for the Gothenburg Boroughs project, but also for the Port of Gothenburg? Perhaps we can start with Sarah and Jessica about the high-speed railway project.
Yeah, Sarah.
I think that this sustainability aspect is perhaps the most important thing for us to handle on these kind of big mega projects. During this localization study that we have been through the last 3 or 4 years now, the sustainability aspect has actually been the center of our evaluation. As I said, that we have identified several corridors within this area, and the center of how we evaluated these corridors was actually the sustainability method, or what I can talk about. So I think it's very important. I think it's very important that we who are working as a consultant or from our point of view as at Trafikverket or the construction company, I think that for example, how the concrete, how we produce and manage to make contract in a more sustainability way than today. I think that's a key to success in this project, actually. So very important, I should say.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Arvid, what about the sustainability at the Port of Gothenburg?
Well, I would say that it's a competitive edge for the port, besides being very important for us being not 400 years, but 800 years in the future. And our goals is that we should reduce our CO2 emissions with 70% from 2010 to 2030. And that involves the seaside, terminal side, and land side. We've already reached the goal for the terminal, but we're working with the land side, I will get back to that later, and also the sea side. Now, in concern or related to big investment projects, our strategy is to build a sustainable transport system. That means rail, that means sea, that means helping the electrification of the transport system. So that, in a sense, contributes to our goal to reduce climate emissions. All that said, infrastructure projects themselves are they emit. And we heard earlier that concrete and steel, that is something that really contributes to climate emissions. So we're looking into how much can we let our investment projects be costlier through buying right materials, if you get what I mean. And there's also a question of the vehicles, for example, being used in an investment project. What fuels are we using? So we are more and more looking into how we can reduce the emissions from the actual projects being carried out, not just only the operations of the port or how we plan the port. So it is very important for us. Both we believe in it, and we realize that if we do not address the issue, we will not be competitive as a port.
I think we can also say in this that we have a government that has decided that Sweden will be the first climate neutral country in the world. So we have a government that are really on these questions as well.
Thank you very much for your answers about sustainability. As you've all mentioned, sustainability is becoming key in conducting our businesses, and I believe every project should have that into consideration when it's being developed. But all projects need suppliers. So in general, what is the time frame for the public procurement process being conducted by the Swedish Transport Administration, and can the bids be submitted in English? Perhaps Jessica, you can tell us more about this.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned in our presentation, we are actually in an active procurement phase right now with the railway plans in the package with the environmental impact assessment and detailed design. And there is possibility to submit certain parts of the bids in English. We have a translation of an assignment orientation, for example, that we submit in phase 1. Certain templates are in English as well. We also allow certain certifications, etc., in English as well that we also evaluate. But we have a language law in Sweden that dictates that it is Swedish that is contract language in our contracts, and that we cannot sway from. But if we look in some of the larger construction projects as well, then we see a lot more English coming in as working language as well. And also that we have translated some of the tender documents as well in the more mega projects, as Sarah described as well. So we are trying to open up more and more for using English in various levels in our procurements, but also in our projects as a whole. And we also realize that this is one of those barriers that our international suppliers are coming up against in order to be able to be competitive with our Swedish suppliers as well. And we are also aware of this. So we are trying to move more in that direction and take the important steps in order to open up more and more. So it is an important question for us.
Thank you very much, Jessica. We look forward to hearing more about the progress you're doing in that sense and the bids procurement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Trafikverket has built a reputation of being at the forefront of rail innovation. Will this innovation be implemented in this project, meaning the Gothenburg Borås, through digital technology implementation and new track construction techniques?
Exact level and how we implement this, we haven't decided that yet, but I think that I can say yes on this question. I think you will see this in all major projects within Trafikverket the coming year. So without a decision, I think I can say yes.
Thank you. And speaking of rail, Arvid, what is the percentage split between road and rail in relation to port outgates? And here I'm referring to containers leaving by either mode.
Well, looking at containers, we have a split of 50-50. Well, actually, a bit more than 50% of all the containers coming and going to and from the port on rail. So rail is the largest transport mode for transporting containers to and from the port. Look at the land.
And do you have any figures in regards to how many trains run out of the port every day?
Yes, we have some on weekdays, some 35 to 40 trains coming and leaving.
Thank you very much for your answer, Arvid. Rapid digitalization and sustainable construction are offering massive opportunities for new growth in the city, such as new startups are emerging constantly. What type of business opportunities do you see emerging in the next couple of years in the infrastructure sector? Perhaps a question for Per.
I mean, there will be great opportunities for many different type of companies within the city. We have mentioned sustainability a lot of times here, but I want again point out that sustainability is very important for the city, and this will also create a lot of business opportunities for any type of companies in this field that have innovative solutions for sustainable growth. And I also want to highlight, much thanks to the automotive industry, we have a lot of transformation of the transport system, and we have great test beds for the logistics sector. And we have one project, Gothenburg Green City Zone, where we work with a larger area within the city, and the goal is to have carbon-free transportation from public transportation and logistic transportation in a couple of years. So there are really great test beds for any type of company that wants to come here. So there will be a great opportunities within many different fields.
Thank you very much, Per. Janica, when Okidoki architects are being involved in big infrastructure projects, what are the characteristics that you're looking at when choosing a partner, especially an overseas partner?
Mainly, I would say the main characters of the digitalization within the company in order to actually meet the high demands on sustainability that you need in order to work in the business region of Gothenburg. It's a very interesting and intriguing region to work in, and you get, as Per mentioned earlier, to work in the cross lines in between very many different fields of innovation, and also together with the city, and to design the solutions of tomorrow for the end consumer. But you also need to know and understand how to work with sustainability and digitalization in order to meet these demands and analyze them early, and preferably with a data-driven analysis, which is also a way to gain quality in a shorter period of time and make faster decisions that meet the end means.
Thank you very much, Janica. I believe all these characteristics should be taken into consideration when a foreign partner is considering liaising with Okidoki, but also pretty much any Swedish company. A question for the world of ports. One of the challenges around the world of ports is rail wagons and the fact that they are not productive enough. One measure for this is the time in terminal measure for rail cars. Arvid, do you know for how long in hours rail wagons are in the port as measured from time in to time out? And is there any opportunity to reduce this figure?
I could spend days, weeks talking about this topic because it's really, really interesting. And why is it interesting? Because I'd rather run more trains on the existing tracks than constructing more tracks. And the issue is that, from my point of view, a rail terminal should be used as a place where you unload and load rail cars, and then you get them on the tracks. It's an important resource to utilize heavily. Sometimes the problem is that rail terminals are used as parking places, and that is continuous dialogue with us and other industry actors in the Trafikverket about how do we accommodate for more parking places for trains. In our port, we have a slot system, so the trains are at the port for, well, as long as it takes to load them and unload them, and then they are shifted to the exit tracks in the port area. But it's a scarce resource to have tracks for rail cars, and I know when I realize that that's a problem not just for Sweden and Gothenburg, but the rail industry as a whole. But we have quite short slots focusing on getting the trains out of the port rather than having them as a parking place.
Thank you very much, Arvid. That's very important information. In terms of future projects, does Trafikverket plan to do or have already conducted a knowledge sharing or lessons learned exercise by inviting the experts in the key suppliers or the companies which are currently part of the West Link to optimize the construction at the East Link?
Yes, we work very close together with the East Link. Of course, we are in the same organization with the East Link, and we are close to the West Link project as well. So we work together, yes, and we have in different forms or different forums meeting together with consultant and construction companies to take experience. So yes, of course we will.
Thank you, Sarah. Now, a general question for everybody, and you are all welcome in to come in with suggestions. How can UK companies best go about becoming a supplier or a partner to your respective organization? Per, perhaps we can start with you.
Well, for us, I mean, our goal is to help companies to be a supplier in all these projects, but also to find the right networks, to find the right partners, and also help the international companies to sort out if there are a need to have a local person in Gothenburg or in Sweden to. We can also help to find the right projects. So we are, as an organization, are not looking for suppliers in that way, but we help international companies find the companies so they perhaps can be suppliers in the future.
Thank you very much. Jessica, Sarah, what about partnering up with Trafikverket?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, the slides, of course, you couldn't see them on the screen, but you will have them afterwards. Becoming a supplier to Trafikverket, we have extensive information on our website regarding this, and we work very, very hard in order to minimize the barriers in order to become a supplier to Trafikverket. And we also have continuous dialogues, both within the project, but also on a larger scale with the supplier markets and our supplier teams, and also in other regards to really understand and to make the changes that need to be made in order for a broader supplier market to be able to become a supplier to Trafikverket. And like I mentioned earlier, we realize that there are these barriers, they still exist. The question of using more English in our procurements and also in our contracts is key. We realize that as well in order for opening up for a larger international market. And then, of course, in these mega projects, Sarah has described as well, we have a key opportunity or possibility to actually go and be in the forefront and opening up for more suppliers of an international character. So we're looking into this, and we're doing as much as we can in the amount of time that we have as well to be able to open up and give you more possibilities to become supplier to Trafikverket. And we realize that also it is key for us. As Sarah also mentioned, we're going to be having a lot of projects being built, both consultancy contracts and construction contracts at the same time during a long period of time. And of course, we realize that our existing supplier market in Sweden is going to be very used to a large extent, and we're probably going to need a lot more foreign suppliers as well. That's going to help us out. So it is a very important question that we're working hard with and have been working hard with during a long time. Yeah, that's pretty much what I can say. But like I also mentioned, try to really partner up. Use Per, for example, speak with him, try to find Swedish representation, maybe both on a local scale, but on a national scale as well. Try maybe to partner up, try to win or submit bids in maybe smaller contracts to begin with, and then scale up after a while once you've learned the ropes and how you submit tender to us in an effective way. But also, we're open to having dialogues frequently over time. We have dialogues both organized, but also if you just get in contact with us, we will absolutely help you and speak to you and have a constructive dialogue about what you see as hinders or barriers, and also what you see as possibilities. So we're open to quite a lot, actually. So you're always welcome to get in contact with us, and we'll try to help as much as we can.
Thank you very much, Jessica, for sharing that. Jannica, how about partnering up with Okidoki? What is the process?
The process is for us to be the local or the national partner for Sweden or the region of Gothenburg. And we are, of course, looking for people to joint venture with in order to design, innovate, invest, and build. And at times, we actually do a joint venture with international actors, since they, on another kind of scale, meet the demands of digitalization and sustainability in a different range, where the Swedish market in construction at times is a bit fat and happy in the old existing model that is now changing due to external demands. So for us, it's always about building the best network together with the greatest competence all over the world, basically. But then being able to be your local or national partner and translating this into the Swedish context.
Thank you very much, Jannica. Arvid, how can companies become suppliers for the Port of Gothenburg?
Well, I think there are, I'd like to put that answer in 3 different baskets. The first would be, and I'm sure that the British suppliers fulfill that demand, being competent, being trustworthy, being cost efficient. That's really important. The second one is being patient, because we, as a part of the city of Gothenburg, we are considered as a public body. That said, we are a part of public procurement. So you need to understand the public procurement process in Sweden. That would be the second basket. And the third basket, that would be to understand the Swedish market and perhaps also Swedish contractors, because there might be a good idea to team up with the Swedish contractors. So with those 3 baskets, you're more than welcome to be a supplier to the Port of Gothenburg.
Thank you very much, Arvid. Lars, do you have any top tips about doing business in Sweden for the UK suppliers? You're on mute, Lars. Sorry, Lars, could you repeat your answer?
Better? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Lovely.
It's many of the UK suppliers, they must understand that it's quite easy to do business in Sweden. It's not as complicated as it is on many other markets. And it's the deals you make here, it's easy to talk to people. People understand English, and so my recommendation is to all the business people coming here. It's to be frank and to be open, and it's quicker here in Sweden, and it's easier than on many other markets. So everyone is open for business, and they understand, especially from the British side, where we had as you know, we are called Little London. I think that is very important for our British friends to come here to do business here, as we've done for more than 400 years.
Thank you very much, Lars. Our session has come to an end today. I would really like to thank our fantastic panelists for the information that they shared with us, but also to the attendees for their time. And we really encourage you to get in touch with us at the British Embassy in Stockholm for support in entering the Swedish market, but also with our key partners in the Swedish market. And I would like to mention the fact that the presentation will be shared together with the contact details. Thank you very much all for your time and have a nice day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.